Sego Guego Tesuko Yungats, Akuzaslono Hodinishoni Kanakaga, Ungahuan, and Duistuis. My name is Ron Mitchell. I've been here at Seven Dancers for, I believe this coming October will be my 3rd year. And I just celebrated my 4 years of sobriety on June 11th. And work here with Harvey and Trey with standing the trees back up and saplings to cedars. And I actually get to help too on the Seven Dancers side, which is very helpful for myself. But that's all I have now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gahuladodo. It means he stands amongst the straight trees. I work at Seven Dancers and youth, Saplings to Cedar youth program. I also assist with Standing the Trees Up men's program along with Harvey and Ron and Dolly. Just a little bit about myself is I follow the traditional ways. I try and live the best I can in the modern world using our traditional ways. I'll try and share that as best I can with younger generations coming up so that our culture and our people will continue to grow, continue to heal, and to continue to get stronger. Now go.
Oh no.
Tego Lego, Deon Garte Yuget, Shoni Yanagahaga, Akudastono, Olegato. First off, I'd like to apologize if I have omitted or forgot anything during the Thanksgiving address. That wasn't my intent. But sometimes we forget. Like myself, I'm getting older too, and I hang around Harvey a lot. He forgets me a lot of times too. So following his way, that's what I tend to do. I've been on the Red Road myself for a little over 12 years, and a lot of those years I've been following Harvey, and it's sometimes fun, but sometimes not fun. But I mean, that's life. That's the balance right there of life. And I've been working here. I just graduated college in last year with my associates in human services. I've been working here last couple summers for an intern, and I just got hired in March. My coworker went on leave, so I took his spot for a little bit, and then I just got hired in June for my own spot to assist Harvey in whatever he needs. But here I am today. Go.
Oh no.
Otatkaladane na Yugyat, Baho Hotanashani, Kanyakahage, Hungahoe, Aksaslon, the Gidlo. Hi everybody. I've been here at Seven Dancers for a few years working with the men's program. Hanse Guilodo. That's to stand the tree back up. And it comes after our grieving. We want to take the mind off the ground and pick the mind back up. That's what we're doing with the spirit of us as men, especially. To stand that tree back up, to be strong again and be accountable again. So the program runs anywhere from 20 to 60 hours from what I would consider start to finish. Just looking at things, where we come from, what influences us, what decisions we make, and how can we make better decisions. Alert behavior is strong. Multi-generational trauma is strong. So how do we, like Galadodo said, how do we live traditionally in modern times? And sometimes, just like Dawi said, it's harder than we think, and yet it's easier than we think. It's that in between that messes us up. All this information we get through what we call our educational system, our governmental systems, our parental systems, all these systems that have given us all this information, and we gotta navigate through that information to try to make good decisions. And if we don't have good say basic morals, respect and knowledge of things, it gets really misconstrued. So we have to look at that closer and see where did it come from. There's a three-way value system that we're forced to take part in on a daily basis. So which is which, I like to say. You know, what are we operating under? Are we operating modern times, traditional times, colonization times? What's governing us right now? How are we active? And when we can identify that, then we can move forward. Because it's like, until we know we're mad, we can't do nothing about it. You know, some of us deny that we're mad. We say, what's wrong? We're nothing. So really we're lying because something's wrong, but I just don't want to take time to tell you. So it's automatic, huh? And this why don't we take that time? You know, modernization, the hustle and bustle of this world is all time limited, you know. Even this Zoom, we get on at an exact time and we're supposed to be done in an exact time. As a traditional person, that's irrelevant. We start when we start, and I can hear my mother, we'll go when we're good and ready. So sometimes that's a positive, sometimes that's a negative. Huh? So sometimes I got to look at that and say, well, what do I got to do better to get to go faster? And it creates this like, okay, I got to do something. So putting that in the memory that I always have to do more. So don't get in a relationship and always thinking I got to do more, got to make it better, got to do more, got to have a reward. So and that's like, it doesn't always work like that. To make the full circle to come back and say, yeah, I should strive to be a better man, a better father, a better uncle, a better grandfather, a better son, a better brother, a better friend. Yeah, when I look at it then that comes from me wanting to do that, not from somebody else telling me to do that. Because my natural defense mechanism says, no, I don't. You got to do this. No, I don't. So I have that defense mechanism kicks in right away. I want to fold my arms and I want to make a face and I want to sit there and refuse to play or take part. And I have to put that guard down, huh? And it's about the spirit. I got to quit protecting that inner child and teach him and heal with him, not keep him away from these lessons that need to be learned in life. So it's been an interesting few years. I've been working at an inpatient cartridge house as a cultural instructor and as a shift supervisor for 22 years. So I've been dealing with addicts and alcoholics and codependents and people that are mentally challenged in this world today. So having to look at that and talk and get through that in a way that's not just medication. You know, we see sometimes medication is needed to get to a place of being able to get off that medication. Sometimes it hinders, sometimes it helps. So like anything, it can be a blessing, it can be a curse. It's just how do we use it. So that's a lot of what I do. So now, Donato.
Oh, no.
Now. That's me.
So Harvey had asked me to put together these slides and I did the best I could. And what we're gonna do is just go through these slides and just kind of give you guys what we've been doing. For this first one, we were given an opportunity to work with Shinnecock's and they needed bio pictures and all kinds of stuff. So I found this interesting to put us together. Dawi wasn't with us at that time. And now I feel bad because he's sitting here and I have pictures in here with him, but for the introduction stuff, he's not in here with us. But if any of my coworkers want to collaborate on anything.
The biggest thing in here is to take note of that we're actually social distancing in that picture. So it shows a little depth to it. So this was more when COVID was really prominent in everything. And we're trying to come together and still try to do things, but do it within, what is it, COC guidelines, CDC, CBD, ABC, whatever these guidelines are. We're trying to adhere to them. And you see that even now as we have our masks on to show people that, you know, we can scream and say it's against our rights and it's this and it's that and it's this. But from a recovering addict standpoint, I put way worse things in my body. And I put myself in way worse positions than sitting amongst people that I care about, that I call my friends, my brothers, and like that. So it sounds kind of weird to think that a mask can define or segregate that in a way. So I wear it because I honor my brothers today. Sometimes I'll take it off and I find it easy to talk. Sometimes I just need a little bit more fresh air like that. So, but still the distancing is there, the respect is there, responsibility is there. So those are some of the teachings alone just in this picture right here. Besides us just looking good.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you focus on me on the picture for a minute, but I'm wearing breechcloth. I'm wearing a breechcloth, but it's not a breechcloth like how people think of a breechcloth, like the movies and all that stuff. What we have is it represents our ties to our mother. So it's almost like we're a representative of a skirt in a male way, and it shows that still that connection that we have to our mother, our birth mother, we have to our Mother Earth, and all the female life carriers that walk on this planet. That just reminds every time I see that, it reminds me to remember about that strong connection between a son and a mother. That's unbreakable. Now go.
Oh, wow.
Okay, back to everybody else now.
You can see the rattles. So obviously we're singing a song too. So with the rattles and that, a lot of time we have songs for almost everything. We have songs for all the ceremonies we do. We got morning songs to wake up and greet the morning with. We got what we call a Duant songs. They're very important to us, that we sing in honor of everything. Just like when David gave that Thanksgiving, that a Duant song is the same way. It's giving thanks to everything under the sun and above the sun. So them songs, and we got other songs, and we got just friendship songs, and we got welcoming songs. We got these meeting songs that we sing just to kind of set an ambiance of friendship, love, compassion, and respect for each other. So a lot of meetings, a lot of ceremonies, we have those also. So, yeah.
Oh, no.
There you go, Harvey.
That's a big one. We travel a lot of miles to make these drums to our homeland. It's in a place called Ganachjohalege, but people know it as Canajoharie, down by Fonda, by New Amsterdam, by Albany. That was our original homelands. And that's where I did my 4 years of fasting. I went up behind this house in the mountain there and stayed up 4 days, 4 nights without food and water to connect to the ground and to connect to the spirit there and seeing if they had something to offer me and a way of teaching. And we went to a drum class there and we made our first hand drum, I believe. It was interesting. We met some people there and we had a really good time there. We got to share some of our experiences and our strengths. And it was well received that we were there, you know, like maybe too many times that we seemed to take over the conversation. because we're not shy, huh? We're not, we got our voice back, and a lot of time, and if you see again, say the prominence is female. So we're a little outnumbered. So when we get into those situations and women start to ask us what we think of certain things as men, and me personally, I got to sort through the files to make sure that which, like I said earlier, is it going to be the colonization answer? Is it going to be a traditional answer? Or is it going to be a modern answer? So I have to scan the crowd and see what I believe to be the best answer. And again, because sometimes I think I'm funny, I'll say a wrong answer just to get a reaction, to see the crowd and see how they are. And my friend has to save me a lot of times.
I let him suffer for a little while.
Yeah. It's just the ideal though, to when we make, because again, that hide on that drum represents all the animal life. The circularity on that drum represents the holism of life, how it goes around. It could be one day, it could be 1 week, it could be 1 moon, 1 year, one evolution. It could be so many things in that holism, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the physical part of the complete circle. And that would represent the medicine wheel. Doesn't show the backs, but there's a lot of nice ties in the backs and crisscrossing that really makes it come together and it holds together. So we honor that. So when we beat that drum, that's the heartbeat of Mother Earth. That's why our beat of that drum is a certain way. And that's our heartbeat. And we're connected to Mother Earth with that song. So when we're singing that song and our feet is keeping us grounded, we're taking that energy and we're channeling it. We're channeling it. So that's why a lot of that song, it's a lot more love, compassion, nurturing, understanding, forgiveness, and all those things. Huh? Us as men, when we want to beat that drum, we want war dance right away, right? We want to show off. We want to strut our stuff, represent it. But women want to tone it down a little, tone it down a little. So we have to work together in that way. There's a time and place for both. And we try to utilize that to the best, you know.
There's when me and Harvey, we went to that class, down at Johalege, it was one of the first times that I seen our allies, you know, different colored people who have the same desire of how to live. And it opened my eyes, like, because before I was always like on guard of other people, and I wouldn't let them in. I wanted to learn how to make a drum so bad, and me and Harvey we left at 4 in the morning or something, and we drove all the way there, just took the scenic route, and you know, got lost a few times, but we made it. And when we carried this on to, like, we went there to learn how to do it, and then we brought it home to our people, and whoever wants to share in that, you know? We make drums, we put drums together for people to take home to their families. I believe it helps. It's like Harvey was talking about the drum beat, and like when I'm hitting a drum, well, I'm not hitting it, but when I'm playing the drum, I automatically, even thinking about it right now, I'm automatically my mood or my calmness is starting. I can feel it just washing over me now, just thinking about hitting that drum. And when he says that, where the drum is the heartbeat of our mother, you know, that's our Mother Earth, right? When we're hitting that drum, we're reconnecting. And all those vibrations, and they just travel everywhere. It doesn't matter the physical time or space. You know, those vibrations, they travel everywhere. And probably right now you can feel that too. So like we bring that, we do things and we bring it home to help our people. But we help all people, you know, like allies are beautiful people. Because they have some kind of work to do just to let it be known that there are allies, you know, because you guys have to like deal with your own stuff out there and then finally get to meet with us. So I appreciate that. I appreciate our allies. You know,
Oh, no.
Oh,
I've got the pleasure to watch these guys help others build these drums. We've gone to Thompson Island to a youth camp. We've done them there, and I just want to share something funny story to all this though. Is Prey likes the drum juice. And if you get a chance to ask him why, ask him.
well, that's a sweat lodge that we built. Me and Harvey, I think Dalit was there, yeah. And my nieces and my grandnieces and my little boy, her little boy, we're all outside in the woods. My father, we had a whole bunch of from the youngest to the elder, we had out there. And we built a sweat lodge in the woods behind my house. It was during the pandemic, huh?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we
Right at the very beginning, I
needed,
think,
yeah.
it was just starting to hit.
like I was like we're expecting a newborn. I got a toddler, and we weren't traveling anywhere. So I asked my gals there, my friend, my relative Harvey, Dolly, if they would help build a lodge so that I could sweat there, and we sweat there to open it up. You know, first my nieces sweat there. The young females, they were getting ready to go out for a fast, and they asked for this, so that's why we built it right in the beginning. So they fasted first, the female, and they all prepared for their fast. They went out, and I think the next week or next couple of days after that, then me and Harvey and my son sweat in there to kind of introduce ourselves to the land, to the medicines, to our ancestors, and that we're going to be doing these ways in this area. So it's a really special place that, like, I can just walk out into the woods and go there and stay there for a little while if I have to gather myself up or collect my thoughts, or just have peace for a little while. So it's really appreciative, and the young ones like to play in that. They feel very comfortable there. Go.
Oh, no.
That the lodge, that one there, I mean, we built these quite a few lodges in our time, and when we go to build it, we always invite some of our clients and stuff. This one we didn't. It was more private, but there's other ones that anybody can come and help that's worked with us. And sometimes we get 10 guys working on it, and we go through those teachings, because every sapling that's on that lodge has a story. It has a direction, and it has teachings that come from that direction. So there's a lot to it. Every tie, every meet, match, where everything crisscrosses. Well, their job we just showed. See, at the top view of the lodge, it shows the star in the middle. It's got 4 outer rings to show the 4 direction. Then there's the upper direction, Father Sky, the lower direction, Mother Earth, and all kinds of teachings that comes from that. We got the saplings that go around, and that's 13 of them to represent the 13 moons, and those all intersect and to make that. And the strength of that is unbelievable once it's all together. And we use certain trees and saplings to the medicines. First choice is willow, red willow. Second choice is probably cedar. Third is maybe maple. But those are all medicine trees. So that even when it's hot and it's dripping the sap, that's medicine in itself. So we're cleansing in many different ways. The way the fire is set up, the same thing. We honor every grandfather, every stone we put in there. We honor every direction, and we thank all those things. And we take that time to set it all up. So then we go and we fill in the rest of the stones for the community and our families. Then we do the same thing with the wood. When we set the wood in, we're honoring all those directions and saying these words, whether it's out loud. If I'm teaching, it's out loud. If I'm not, it's in my mind, and I'm going through all. So it takes a while before we light that match. It takes a while before we actually go into our Mother Earth's womb, back to the beginning, back to that healing. Then when we come out, we consider ourselves reborn again, cleansed again. But there's a lot to it. And we hold teachings just on this sweat lodge. So,
And for myself, I actually was in Partridge House and I got to go to my first sweat. I had to go to a doctor's appointment and Trey was waiting for me at the Partridge House. He says, come on, we gotta go to a teaching. So I went and I was scared. And then they're like, oh, we're going in the sweat lodge. And Harvey was facilitating that. And ever since then, I have become a sweat hog. And these guys laugh at me because after I got my first one, I became an addict to the sweat lodge. And I'm like, I gotta go in, I gotta go in. But I also learned how to be a firekeeper. We were up in the mountain for a fasting, and it was during my stay at Partridge House. And Harvey says, yeah, that big guy back there. So I turned around and looked, and there was nobody behind me. So he was talking about me. And so I actually got to do that. And ever since then too, like I get the same pleasure doing firekeeping as anybody that would go in and get their healing from that lodge. I've seen a lot of guys come and go from the lodge. And then also, you know, being at the old Seven Dancers, at the old building, I would show up. Harvey would be like, okay, we're doing a sweat. And I'd show up at 3 o'clock. I'd do my best to help him. Sometimes I would just later because I was lazy. And it was just awesome because that's where my journey started for Harvey to say, you want a job? You're going to start as a part-timer. And, you know, this place has started my healing. And since we've moved into the new place, we didn't have room here. There's one spot we could have done it, but there's no privacy. So I'm only a quarter of a mile up the road. And I've given Seven Dancers a spot on my property to say, here, put the fence up, the shed, and we'll have the sweat lodge here. And we actually just finished building that a few weeks ago. And we're just waiting to light the first one. And it looks like the 4 of us will be the first 4 that do go in. And, you know, I'm looking forward to that. The sweat lodge is awesome. There is a few people on here, I believe, that have gone in with us. And that's all I have.
No.
Anything else somebody wants to add? And this one was there was a group of women that wanted to sweat, and they didn't know how to ask Harvey. And I said, well, you need to bring them a tobacco tie. And they brought him a tobacco tie, and we did it. And they brought all the food. They did most of the work. This was one of the ones where I got to do the fire keeping. I don't know if these guys want to add anything else.
No, the teachings, again, it's like that, you know, to be asked something and to agree to it. It's still 50-50. But when you pass a tobacco tie, that's documentation of a signed contract. When you offer even a pack of cigarettes in the clutch, but we don't have something, we pass a pack of cigarettes and say, I need you to do this. And if you take that bag of cigarettes or that tobacco tie, it's like guaranteed, it's a done deal. There's no backing up. So that's this, and that's what makes it really solidifies the fact that it's going to happen. And once that fire starts, people start coming. But these women, they were looking for it, and it was like, well, what do you want done? And they said, we don't need nothing. We just need some words. So we did it, and it was awesome. They appreciated it for sure. So we run like we'll do a men's sweat, strictly men. Then I'll do a co-ed sweat. Then I'll do a family sweat. Then I'll take a week off. Then we go back to the men, and so on and so forth. So we have here's a small tobacco tie. I don't know if you can see that. And that's all we need sometimes. It's just something that's very symbolic and very traditional to pass a tie to make a contract. to make that agreement.
Yeah, when somebody comes up with that tobacco tie, like for me, when I see somebody coming up with that tie, I gotta be like, whoa, okay, wait, what, like I have to put myself in a good place when somebody's offering that tobacco tie, because I know, like, all their thoughts and their struggles, everything they're going through has gone into that tobacco tie, and they want help. So for me to take that is not a light thing. No, it's a very important moment. So I have to put myself there now, because I know, like Harvey said, if I take that, it's a done deal. I have to do what I said I'm gonna do. That's it. No excuses. I got some excuses I use, but this, if I take that, there is none. I'll be there. So when somebody comes up to you and has that, it's a really big deal, because they're at a place where they're like searching for that spiritual help. So when I take that, I know how sacred it is. And I won't take that lightly. This is almost like their life is in that little tobacco, that little pouch. They put it in your hand. Now you have to take care of that for a minute until you fulfill what they're asking of you. And it's always in a healing way, you know. So if any of us ever come up to any of you people with a tobacco tie in our hand and ask you for something, if you can help us with something, know that it's a very big and honorable thing. Because they're thinking of us as people, as our character. Are we good people? Yeah, I need your help here. So if somebody comes up, it's a mutual agreement of respect right there. So yeah, y'all go.
Oh, no. And I just want to give you guys a heads up. If you can see the man that's sitting down in front of Prey in the gray and the guy in the green, those guys are guys that are doing the work. Our friend Gary, his health ain't very good right now. So if you do happen to say some prayers, it'd be nice if you could do that for him. And Chad is Janelle's boyfriend. And, you know, anytime we've ever asked Chad to come join us, he's right there. And Gary, same thing, was always right there helping us do anything we needed him to do. So this started as a native comedian. His name's Milo Smith, and this was a crazy event. Janelle come in one day and says, "Oh, I need to spend this money." So Harvey, doing what he does best, did a mind map, and next thing you know, we were done in 5 minutes, had it planned, and Janelle got the ball rolling, and he came and he put on an awesome show. And you know, he's another one that he's doing the work. I actually got asked to, not to open up, but I got asked to stand amongst 4 healthy men, role models making change, and I got to say everything I needed to say to the audience, and it was a really good day. And one of the guy on the left in the gray, he's another one that you know, he put in his time doing his sobriety, and he's doing the work. I do have more photos to this. And there's the audience that everybody showed up and came.
When we did that, there was elders in the room. We did this in Snide, where a couple of us are from. One was from Snide, but he moved away, so I don't know. He's still from Snide in my heart. But we did that in like my homeland, my home base, where I know all my elders and, you know, everything. So for a lot of times in my life and other men's lives, we weren't doing so well, you know. And those elders probably looked upon us and with worry about how we're living our lives, you know. So then we start changing our lives, and we start doing good things, and we start bringing like hope and joy to the people. So when I was there on that night, I was looking at the elders' faces, and they were looking at these men, us men, who have changed our lives around and are now helping the people. They were looking at us with, there was like a happiness in their face. And whenever I see an elder happy, that makes me happy. So, and that was like almost like my payback to them for all that worry I caused them before, you know. And now I could look upon them and they had smiles, they were laughing, because this guy's funny. He tells jokes that we can relate to. So yeah, now I'll go for that.
I don't know what I'm gonna hit. Don't tell me where we're gonna go from here. But this one here was one of our main stories in our creation story. After the human beings were brought into this world, there's a history of the players. And this player here was, her name was Jagunsaza, and she was a fierce woman. She liked to be very mischievous. She liked to cause fights and heartaches. And sometimes I like to relate her to more like Medusa, where she had that power to seduce men and bring them to a dark side and do her bidding. And this was her camp right here. This was her village. And that's one of the places where the peacemaker went to and persuaded her to put that aside. So in our story, it'd be like with Jesus going to meet one of the disciples and bringing them into his fold with good words and encouragement. So we have similar story with the peacemaker to go about this land that created the great peace, which was later known to be the Guyana Goa, which is the great law. That was how we were going to conduct ourselves by that process. So anyways, as he was talking to her, this woman actually thought she had another victim, and he didn't succumb to this, whatever you love potion number 9, whatever it was. And so she was taken aback knowing that he had special powers because he didn't fall prey. And he told her that, I know what you've been up to. So she vowed to use that power for good instead of evil. And this was her village. And we went down there to, we were talking to a guy, and he goes, yeah, I know this, where this is. He goes, it's just down the road about 5 miles. So we got in his truck and we rode out there. And this was the actual village. You could see it, it's marked off and this and that. So we sat there. I don't know if you want to go to the next one. And we sang some songs. Oh, how did that get in there? You want to put this one in?
Yeah, I didn't
Okay,
have, all I
okay.
had was the other tree stuff.
There's a story. on that.
Holy smokes. Wow. That was interesting. So we walked around, we paced the whole outskirt of this village, and we sang some songs, we put some tobacco down. Then this eagle came over and circled over us to let us know that everything was good in the hood, and very acknowledging to that, the way nature allowed us to be there and showed us that we are doing the right thing. So that part of our story, and in this, where this woman helped to forge this, and that's why today, even in our traditional teachings and place of ceremony, the women, because she was the first to accept this peace, power, and righteousness, that the women became the clan mothers to choose the men that were to be virtuous enough to carry that duty on. So I guess, like, again, it'd be like the senators and House representatives and stuff like that, when they were virtuous anyway. I don't know about now, I hear different things on this one. I don't know if they're that virtuous. Anyways.
Yeah, go to the next one, Job. Talk about that.
Okay.
Hey! me and Harvey we're doing we're helping with a presentation for our friend Jeremy from Minnesota. Jeremy Neville. Sorrell, yeah. He's one of the men doing the work across Turtle Island. We have a network of men that we know across Turtle Island that are all doing similar things. And well, this one, he came down and visited us, and at our casino, he put a presentation on, a 2-day presentation. Me and Harvey were helping it run along smoothly. Well, we just happened to wear the same kind of shirts today and the same kind of, we dressed the same, but not on purpose. And his daughter Katrina was sitting there and along the side of us there, and she snapped these 2 pictures and put it together like that. So it looks kind of cool.
It's supposed to be like great minds think alike.
Yeah, that's what
We're not coming out or anything. It's just great minds think alike.
I love him.
I put this in there because it's Pride Month too.
We're versatile. Oh, this one was big.
This was I totally forget what was going on in
That was to bring the people back together that time. We marched to
the solidarity, right? Yeah. So like our 2 longhouses, not that they fight, but they don't get along. So there was some stuff going on in our community where we wanted to bring everybody together, and the only thing they could think of was like a unity march. And a couple people had told us, and we were all in. And for myself, I wasn't into the culture and all this stuff like I am today. Like even that Eagle fan, my ribbon shirt that I have on, I wasn't into none of that. But when I got to do this, it was just a great honor. I was in the front of the line. I have a bad hip and I was there and I did it. It was just a great day for myself. I wouldn't have asked for a better day with my brothers, and you can see the 4 of us right there in the front, and it was just great. I really don't know what else to say to this one, but so I'm gonna turn over to Trey.
well, go back to the previous picture. See, right there. This is the goal, to have men love each other, or at least like each other. So this is what we did that day. It was for the community. Our community has a lot of deep wounds, and we still have a lot of healing to do. And some people have been hurt more than others, or it's just really everybody's at different layers of their own healing. And well, we did this to kind of show the people that there's some of us who want everybody to be together and everybody to be as one. So we marched from one end of the territory to the I would call it the heart of our territory here. That's where like the Generations Park is. The elders live there, the children play there, the lacrosse box is there, there's healing, there's medicine, in that area. So we marched to there and did a community condolence to put all that stuff to rest. And I don't know if it's made a difference or not, but I feel it has in me. I feel like I can look at anybody. It doesn't matter where they go. That don't mean anything to me where they go. It just matters of how they live and how they treat people. You could go to the best schools, the best everything and that, and if you treat people like crap, I don't like you. That's it, bottom line. So this march was it brought all people of all different mindsets, or I don't know. We're all the same people. Like just to remember that we're all the same people. We're all gonna have know, we all walk the same like that. We're all walking the same. And it was to show that to the people. And a lot of it went out onto social media. That's where we reach a lot of people now. And I think it affects the younger generation. They know that there's people that want peace. They know that. They see it. There's people who want peace. Donato.
Yeah.
So that, one thing is that when we walked, we sang those songs. You can see the man with the drum in the front. We sang those honor songs. We sang those compassionate songs. And then we come and we met another group of people coming from the other way. There it is right there. Good one. So the people coming from the one way, from another longhouse, from another, say, part of the community, coming together with another part of the community. Then we had some were got rides, some were a little farther back because there was a little. So even this amount of people that it's showing right now doesn't do it justice. There was more. And it was just the way we walked, because it was a cold day. You can see the snow and the banks there, still there and stuff. So it was a good walk, and it was windy. It was colder than I would have liked it to be. But it was really a good day though, to partake of such a thing. And as we went on, you can see, like Prey said, the police station is the first building on the left. Then you go down a little farther, you can almost see that's the old age or the senior center. Where, right in there, the senior center. They have dinners every lunch, and they do their whatever they do there. You know, bingos, yeah. They do quilts, they do all kinds of stuff.
So
And socialize. Then to the right of that building is the Generations Park there. There's an arena there. And that's the parking area, but there's that white that's there, that's snow covered, is the soccer and lacrosse field. And now you go further now, there's a diabetes center there. Then you go across from the diabetes a little farther is the new elective tribal council building. So it is like the central hub of this area. And that's what we wanted to do, is show and sing and unify the best we could. Did you get that one in there with us? In the arena?
No, I didn't have nothing.
No,
Because
because we end up singing for quite a while inside the arena. We people were there doing round dance, stomp dance, different dances. We stayed there for over an hour, sharing, singing, and just talking and gathering, and it was really an awesome time. We've done and partake of many marches. The I Don't Know More march, the DAPO march with the pipeline. And we did one for the traditional longhouse march to the CBSA for the Canadian Customs Act, and to get them to start honoring the treaties more again. Because it seems like that circle, those guys that really say respect us, they rotate out. So they might be here 5 years and they get rotated out. So we get a new group that comes in that wants to enforce the letter of the law without realizing the duality of the system here, because this border is put right in the middle of our community. And we have free travel, our treaties have free travel, and they don't want to honor that. They want us to say, well, if you live on that side, and they use trick questions, that's funny. And and some of our younger ones get in trouble over it because they don't know the answers to those questions. So again, we got to educate and let them know that it is our right, you know. Talking about the young ones, that's the praise boy that he's mentioned a few times. Not even the youngest no more, but he was with us many times with that drum. And we honor some Western nations, and there's some Northern nations that utilize that big drum. And it's the same like that hand drum. It represents the circularity, Mother Earth, the animal life, the plant life, and all those things. And we still use that. We were doing regular singing sessions, but that's not our drum. It's our drum's a little water drum, But we tried to use some of that, because some of the songs we sing in a sweat lodge are borrowed from out west, from the Sioux Nation. And so in order for these men to sing along, I've been practicing those songs on that drum to help them out. So it ain't just me don't know how to sing them. I need to hire some Supremes. I can't be Diana all the time. I get winded. That's why I like that one picture. I think I actually had some black hair still.
And that young man right there is the youngest man that's been in talking circle. What was he, 3-4 weeks old? You brought him? Yeah.
And like to me, it's generational healing when I can kind of like acknowledge who I am and why I'm the way I am, work on myself. Now I can give the next generation, that little boy, you know, a head start. Kind of smoother journey in the beginning, you know. Let him know he's got all these tools that he can use to help himself and his people when he grows up, his family when he grows up, their lives. So it's generational healing. It's not generational trauma anymore. It's generational healing. I see it at the Longhouse. My daughter was named. They raised her name, and when you raise a child's name, you're introducing them to all creation, and we're using Ungwahoan eyes to see as creation sees. So I showed my daughter to all creation, letting them know that she's going to be asking for your assistance one day. Like when Dolly did the Ahonda Gully with Dekwa, he went through each part of creation, and as we raise her, we let each part of creation know that this is her name, and she's going to be asking for your assistance sometime in the future, and that we hope that you would treat her kindly and with respect of your powers. And we do that with each one now. So her named on my birthday, and so my birthday sometimes falls on Father's Day too. So it becomes a Father's Day, a birthday, and now it became her day. You know, my birthday is now about her because she was named on that day. That forever I'll know that on my birthday she was named, so it becomes her day. That's generational healing right there. And they said in the Longhouse, they said this one child was raising their name, and they said, "Who's the parents of this one? Stand up." So they stood up. "Who's the grandparents of this one?" And the grandparents stood up, and they said, "That's generations of people in this Ganusisna, in this Longhouse, that are doing okay." And it's good to see that. Now go, Donato.
Oh no.
Oh.
That boy did become a drum hog. Just like his pappy.
Sometimes he'll lay right on that drum.
Yeah, he wants to lay and hear that beat and bounce a little bit with it, and every man, that's become one with that drum. Good stuff.
He learned to walk on that drum. Had to hold it.
So this one here is the fire pit behind my house, and this one, as COVID hit, I had talked about our last probably NA meeting, and I said, "Does anybody do a fire pit meeting?" And one of my friends brought that fire pit to me and traded me sage and tobacco. And so what I did with that is I offered it to the community to do a talking circle, to just open up the, you know, to light that fire and for people to come and put their tobacco in, or just to sit there, you know. I don't throw cigarette butts in there. I don't have people drinking around it. You know, that's my medicine right there at home. And there's been a lot of people that have come over, you know, for one-on-ones. It's there, you know. I didn't know if these guys even noticed that I threw this in there, but that's just something that that I got to do.
It's called open fire pit policy. That's our buddy Chad that he mentioned earlier that comes through all the time. And there's he's just there, man. He helps us sing, he helps all the time. We go to the Dudas, our grandparents, the elders place, and we would sing. We called them Dudas. That's a term of respect to the elderly. And we would go sing, and he'd come with us, and Amy would come with us, and her husband Brian would come with us, and then a couple of younger ones would come with us, and we'd sit there and just sing on a Friday night to the elders that were there in there and stuff. And we'd go an hour, hour and a half, depending on how long it took to get Pray off away from the microphone. Sometimes 2 hours.
The Dudas will sometimes be falling asleep, but oh, okay.
Yeah, it was good. We've been talking about, again, because of COVID, the restrictions became a lot. So we're waiting, you know, we've been talking about even just going in the parking lot and singing, just to give them something, huh? So we miss them, and very honorable to partake. And we got other guys that want to learn the songs that show up and stuff. And it's this guy's been there. He's making a Gustoa right there with the feathers, and that was our hat. There's a couple slides back. You've seen Pray have it on, walking in the lead there. A nice Gustoa on. And we all have them. Basically, all of us have them. And, that's our creation usually. Otherwise, we can get a good friend to make it for us. And, it's I don't know how to say it. It's like a milestone in our lives to get a Gustoa, because we had to earn those eagle feathers that went on there. And for us being Mohawks, we had to have 3 eagle feathers. So we had to earn those. Just don't tell Ron that turkey feathers aren't eagle feathers.
Don't ever tell him that.
Yeah.
That's like telling him Santa Claus ain't real.
This was another big one. This was about the murder and missing Indigenous women that me and Pray got asked to speak at. We shared some songs, we shared some words, we shared some respect, we shared some commitment. And that was one of the things we did a while back in one of our workshops. I don't think it's going to be in here. But, you know, myself, I'm old school, so I don't do pictures. I'm like, no, you don't take pictures. It's, well, Pray takes all kind of pictures, huh? But I never get to see them for one thing, because I don't know, they're gone. He says, poof, they're gone. But I don't know. But I understand, because I switched my phone and I lost the little pictures I had over it. And he took a bunch on some of our travels. But when we were out there in, I think it was Reno, was it Reno? And this guy, the workshop we were in was very unorthodox, and it was really awesome. And that's a whole story in itself. But he took us to the workshop across the hall from us. And we announced to everybody in there that as men, we would be better men. And we made that commitment in front of all these people. It's probably 80 to 125 people in there. And most of them were Indigenous, but there was other non-natives and people of color and stuff in there. And but we got to sing a song and make that commitment and announce that, to be better men, to be better husbands, to be better fathers, better brothers, and like that. So it's really, I guess I'd call it putting our feet to the fire, you know, because I'm sure, myself included, in the early recovering days where I would make those commitments to myself, not really follow through, because I didn't really have nobody to follow through for. But as I kept working and stuff, I started to realize it wasn't about just what people seen, how I act. It was how I act when nobody was looking. So I started to incorporate that into my own teachings of myself, that, you know, I have to be just as honest when nobody's around as when somebody's around. when people are watching, you know, I have to be have the same integrity. And so we got to go and do this with that commitment that we strive for and what we share. So that was good.
Hey, my friend, Jeremy. Okay, if you want to look at me for a little while, just get it.
We met this guy out in Wisconsin, and I think that's part of that too. And me and Prey travel and go to these workshops. We have a blast. We do more things on accident than intentionally. But this one here, we were sitting there, and there was a comment made in Wisconsin at a men's domestic violence workshop, and the guy was talking about how do we get these men to these things and all this. And Prey happened to be sitting on side of him, and he says, "Look at this guy right here," pointing to Prey. He goes, "He wasn't even invited." And I'm like, "Yeah, who is he? Get him out of here!" You know? There, send him packing and all that. And then that guy turns around. We need men like this. We need men to come here that aren't even invited, that want to get better, that want to represent. I'm proud of this man. And I raised my hand. I go, I brought him. He's my friend.
That's our emotional roller coaster.
Yeah. So when Dolly identified right at the very beginning, when he says sometimes it's good times, sometimes it's not so good, there's perfect examples. It's still being experienced.
This was wampum teachings that went on at Mama Bears. She's a clan mother of the Mohawk Nation, and she does a lot of teachings there. She does a lot of community healing. She just loves our people, and she tries to help in all our ways. So we did Al Smoke put on a wampum teaching course or introduction along with Elianis, and it was just really it's really empowering to know our own history. And when you people talk about history books, this is our history books right here. These wampum belts, not only physically do they have that information on there, like the Ayuwata belt, the 5 nations, that's the one that people kind of recognize a lot. And it's physically, you can see that represents the 5 nations. That's our physical representation. But there's also spiritual meanings in there and spiritual representation. To start like getting back in touch with those, it brings a lot of peace, and it brings a lot of validation for my own self, because I know, like in my mind and in my heart, I know our history. But when a man comes and puts a wampum belt here and explains it and goes into detail about things, and you know how people were at that moment in time, you know, it becomes real. My history becomes real, not made up. So this proves to me that we have been here for a very long time, longer than not longer than anybody else, you know, and we are continuing to be here. We will be here for a very long time.
Oh, no.
I got a lot of these wampum belts myself that I utilize, and basically that's what it is. It's back to that knowledge, you know, back to that knowledge. When you show a wampum belt and you can feel that and hold that and recite what everything represents on there, those stories are so meaningful and so endless. And it goes into another one, and it just creates everything. And that's what we have to remember, those words to be passed down, And that's again, with being older, I can remember that they said, we don't want no pictures of these belts. We don't want no recordings of these belts. We don't want it of any of our teachings. That's not the way it's done. It's verbally, it's oratorical. That's how you learn, that's how you teach it. But then it started to die, and it was like, now what are we gonna do? So somebody says, well, we better archive all this stuff. So they started recording things and taking pictures and making our own history books. And unfortunately, there's debate now, right? Well, it's written here, right here. It's supposed to be like this. Yeah, but over here, it's written like this. But that was always interpretation, right? Interpretation. So I know the same thing with the Bible. There's more than one book. There's King James, there's a couple King James, there's a couple other ones. And I know there's probably, like, if I could recall right now, I know 14 versions, just like the Gospels. There's so many different people wrote different story of the account of things as they saw. And that's the way it is. I tell the story the way I recount what had happened. And what it comes down to is that teachings is just man's interpretation of those teachings. So how do we interpret it? Do we interpret it in a good way, a manipulative way, a hierarchy way? How do we interpret it? How do we present love and compassion? You know? So when we look at the proper words, we know which ones are soothing, which ones are nurturing, and we know which ones are hurtful. We can understand that much about it, huh? So then at the bottom line, it's still our choice. Do we believe it, or how does it go? To believe or not to believe? No, is that
We had the question.
Yes.
To be.
oh yeah, to be or not to be. That's the question.
No, yeah, probably. So when you look at this picture, it's a beautiful picture. There's so much things going on in there. To me, it's a perfect representation of who we are as people. And as you continue to look at that picture, you can notice that the men are all in positions of protection for our most sacred beings, the life carriers, the women. So you see the men are always at a position of keeping an eye, protection. You know, on our ways, there's a stick that they say that we can use to shush things away from our sacred fires. And that's the same thing we do with our people. But our little ones would be in there too, in that center, in that circle in the middle. Our elders are in that circle in the middle. The women, everything that is absolutely needed for our survival. We protect them like that. And it happens in a way of, we don't orchestrate, okay, you stand over there, you stand there. No, we don't do that. It just happens in that way because that's how we live. We sometimes in our histories, we have to protect ourselves very fiercely. So we still have that in our DNA to always keep an eye on the pack, make sure everything's okay, make sure they're well fed. Yeah, Donato.
Oh, no.
Rock stars.
Hey! Who's that guy in the middle? I don't know who that is.
Let it to the big leagues.
He's got the microphone, people. We got invited to CKON Radio, the radio station here on territory. They asked us to talk about welcoming home the spirit. It's something that we do for people returning from prison. I can't exclude anybody, like people from rehabs, people from homeless shelters or domestic shelters, domestic violence. Everybody like that needs a safe place to come home to, a safe, with traditional teachings surrounding them for their entire stay. They asked us to talk about that. So we put together, we do a ceremony for people to welcome home, to welcome their spirits back. When we go through traumatic events, our spirit will step, it'll go over here and it'll be on the side of us, towards the back a little bit. Because our spirit cannot live here if we're harming ourselves. If I'm drinking, if I'm drugging, my spirit cannot be here because I'm harming myself. So when other people harm us, or when we go through traumatic events like going to prison, our spirit has to stay over there. So when we get home, we need to reconnect with our spirit. We need to become whole again. Or we continue to hurt people because we're empty. We need to fill that hole with something. We pick drugs, alcohol, women,
Anger.
Gambling, anger. You know, there are so many things that try and fill that hole, but it doesn't. Only our spirit can fill that hole. And when people come home, we have a ceremony for them. We let them know that we still love them, when we still care about them, and they still have a place in this community. They still have a purpose, and when they come home, I think their purpose is even greater. They can show little kids that, you know, like, you keep doing that, you're gonna end up in this place that's no fun. And it's a modern day residential school to me. It's for adults though. It's designed to strip away your humanity. You become a number. You become less than an animal in their eyes. To me, it's a modern day residential school. And when we come home, we need to work on that. Well, that's what they asked us to talk about. We're still working on it, and it's still operating as we speak. So we got big things happening there. Big things, huge. But it's gonna help generations of people. Because right there, I see two people in that picture that have gone to prison and have turned their lives around when they came home. You know? And then I see of those two people, how many people around them have they affected in a good way? You know, huge number. So that's what we want to give to the future generations, you know, that love, that healing, togetherness, everything that we long for when we're torn from our family. Now,
No.
hey now.
So this is a event that Seven Dancers does, and it's the Teal to Heal Walk, and we get to go, and it's just awesome to, you know, this was right from the beginning, and not a lot of people were there just yet, but they showed up. And what did we do for fun that day with it? It was like a scavenger hunt, or yeah, bingo. Yeah. So they had to come to us and ask us questions of, is there a men's program at Seven Dancers? And there's some people out there that still don't know that we are here at Seven Dancers, you know? So it was just
Just today, we've had two people come to this place where we're at, looking for cigarettes. Where we moved to is an old cigarette store, gas station, but it's been shut down for a couple of years. So we're talking to the landlord here. When we make the move, we moved here, but it's still, we got the pumps, garbage bagged up and taped up, and all the signs are down. We got signs on the door, no cigarettes, no gas, you know. And a guy just come in and he looked around, and he went out and he went to the next door to the same room. Looked and peeked, and then he left. Then another guy come and he said, well, where's your cigarettes? And I could hear him say, there's a sign right there. It says you got cigarettes. And Mo and Tyler, no, we don't. So it's moved and it's changed. And it's like, he didn't want to believe it. You know? He wanted his cigarette. So, yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
but no, these are just like some of the community events that we get to do, and this was one of them.
See, again, with the pictures, because this picture does not even do that justice. There was probably over 100 people walking around that park lane and going around. So when this picture was taken, it had to be right at the precise time where It looks like nobody's there but us. But they were giving away bags, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. It was really eventful. Ah, this is the one. We're going back to that march, I believe.
Nope,
No, this is another one?
this is that one. We did that.
Missing and murdered Indigenous women?
Yeah, but it was I don't even remember what it was called, but it was break the silence, stop the violence. It was DV walk.
That's the domestic violence one, then,
Yeah.
okay. So we did another walk, and you'd think I'd be in better shape all this walking. They should put celery at the end, not donuts. Nah, I'd rather eat donuts. But yeah, so we got there and we were doing a round dance, and that's a unity dance, and we were sitting in the center there with some of the guys that have come through with us, some of our clients and stuff that stuck it out for a while to sing and practice and just represent. It's always awesome to put the call out and have the guys show up. And we almost sound good sometimes. We go from one spectrum to the other with our singing. And sometimes we just got to beat the drum louder to drown ourselves out. But it's something I read in Reader's Digest years and years ago, where it said, it's not whether you know how to sing or not, it's just the feeling that you want to. So I really appreciate that, you know, that I don't consider myself a singer. I know a few songs, and between everybody here, like I said, just us, it's not too bad. We add others and it starts to sound decent. We add one wrong one and it kind of messed up. But and even in the songs itself, is who's leading the song is very important. Because sometimes, like say, especially with me and Trey, if he's leading that song, I gotta follow him. So if I'm leading the song, he's supposed to follow me, not take over. But at the same time, it shows me that he's getting confidence and wants to sing out louder. See, so I can understand that and come back in behind him. Because I'm supposed to be the mature one. So I'm supposed to be, but you know, that's debatable. But even in that, it means something, right? Who's holds the drum supposed to have the lead. It's like the driver of the car gets to pick the radio station or the heat control, because he needs to stay awake.
Does anybody out there remember the boy band NSYNC? Well, what Harvey's talking about is us being out of sync.
Boys night out, down we go.
Yeah. So this is a boys' night out. It's a bunch of our community programs come together, and we host this event. And we get like a few celebrities that come through our community. I don't know if my arrow is on your computer. This guy here is a really good lacrosse player. He's the famous one. He's our really biggest famous lacrosse player. And then we have the cops, everybody there. And then in this event, we get to do teach-ins with them. I believe for this event, I don't know if we did anything for this one.
I think we did domestic violence or abuse, sexual abuse, or we talked to them about something in that room, or we supervised
Creation
them.
story.
Huh?
Creation story. Is that what you did?
I just don't remember which this one.
Yeah, I don't think it is this one, but I know we've done stuff, but for this one, I think it was more of just being there to supervise and stuff. But the following years, I don't have any pictures from that one, but like Trey said, we did, I believe Harvey did Creation Story and Trey did.
Physical abuse, I believe. Domestic violence.
Yeah, because myself, you, and police officer Thompson. Yeah, that's right. And this is still part of Boys Night Out. One of our good friend Joey David, he's doing the teaching for this one. And I believe he did.
Medicine wheel.
That's it.
Yeah, he did medicine wheel.
Did they could spin that one?
I
Could
think,
they spin it like a wheel and then it hits something, then they ask the
Yeah.
youth and they have an answer,
yeah,
prizes, good stuff.
yeah.
Winning.
Winning.
It's all winning.
Harvey likes that wheel because like you could win off of it. He's a casino guy. So this event here was the Boys and Girls Club on Cornwall Island, and we got invited over to do the social. And you can tell Prey, myself, Dolly, and Brian are there. It turned out really good. There was easily 100 kids there. It was a really good day.
We did teaching too, remember?
Yeah, we helped out with, we always try and share some teachings on, about respect and courage and honor and doing the right thing. So we always try and incorporate that in all of our, like before we sing a song, we'll introduce the song, but before we do that, we'll kind of let the young ones know what the song's about, what it helps with, what areas it can strengthen them in, so it makes it personal to them, and they can heal from that, whatever they're going through, they can use that to begin their day. There's Gabby's, got your niece, Gabby?
This young lady right here had to pry that drum out of Prey's hands just so she could sing. He wouldn't let that drum go, but she really impressed me. This young one right here had a good voice, awesome voice.
Yeah, he jokes about that, like with the drum, but what really happened was I could hear, I was singing and drumming, and I could hear her on the side, and she was singing, but she had that a little bit afraid or a little bit something, so it wasn't coming out, but I knew she could do it. So I just kept offering her that drum, and she said no at first. So okay, and then I would go again, and then I would hear her, and then I would offer it again, and she would no. So I do it again, and then I offered it again, and then she took it, and I said, "There you go." And then she started singing, man. She went, and we backed her up, So I think that's a big step in her life right there, to come out of her own fear and sing hard. Sing hard.
They stumped me. I didn't have an answer. I was thinking about it, contemplating many mysteries. That was one of our youth camps there on Thompson Island, and sharing some things and talking and showing them and pointing, and you can see them all looking at a certain area. Except one guy, I think that's Prey's son. Yeah, there's more of that youth camp. It was really good. We were there, 4 days, I think. We went every day, week 5. We didn't spend the night with them, but we went like from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the evening. We just had all kinds of different things. We even did a sweat lodge there with them, and we brought the boys in, and it was, to me, it was crazy because the boys were more fearful of the little spiders that happened to be in that lodge than the women. The young girls were like hitting the spiders to go back up because they would drop down, and the boys, they were turtling in the corners with them spiders, and I thought that was something else. That, it was, to me, it was switched, but then at the same time, it taught me that that's what I know. Because of those things we learn. The girls are afraid of this and that, and the boys are supposed to be, what is it, puppy dog tails, snails or something? And girls are sugar and spice and everything nice. And here it's the opposite. The girls are catching the frogs and the worms, and the boys are running away scared. So who knows, you know? Can't look at it like the old days where it seemed like that was normal. Just like lacrosse, a lot of our girls here are playing lacrosse, and the other nations aren't really keen on that. So there's little things they're trying to make it work. So now it's starting to spread. More of the girls are picking up the lacrosse sticks. They're saying that's a men's sport. And yeah, it was back in the day, you know, but not so much now, you know. So we have to look at that. We have to evolve, just like everything else. We got to quit those old "you can't" rules. Huh? So it makes it interesting. It really makes it interesting because, like I said earlier, we couldn't even. I'm trying not to say 8-track, but the old regular cassettes to tape the songs on, so we'd have the songs. You know, they say, "Oh no, you can't record it. That's against the tradition. You have to learn it. You got to sit there and learn it." And it's like, yeah, well, I can't sit and learn that long. You know, my attention span and time frame from at the time I'm a single dad, and I had 3 kids that I was raising. So I didn't have a lot of time to sit there and really, in my car going to work, I could listen. So, but we have to adapt, you know, we have to evolve. So the snake that can't shed its skin shall perish. So I gotta evolve.
And that one,
I shed a little bit.
that one kid at the end, the big guy at the end, that guy never came out of that sweat lodge. I was fire keeping that day, and I just like, I gotta keep an eye on these kids, right? And some of them are coming out and running around, and they don't want to listen. So I'm like, "Okay, you take that pile of rocks, put it over there, and then bring it back." And they're like, "What?" So yeah. So anyways, but this big guy stayed in there, and so did Harvey and Prey. And they're like, "Oh, buffalo around." And I said, "Well, there's still some rocks left." So I brought them in, and that kid stayed in there 5 rounds. That was impressive. And like, he put me to shame. Like, there's some days I want to stay in 5 rounds, but there's some days like I do 2 rounds, and I'm like, "No, I can't do it, man." But he
Tell him what he got gifted for that. Remember?
Yeah, he got a nice eagle feather for doing all that. And was it from you or was it from me? I don't either.
It was from me.
Was it? Oh, it's from Harvey.
They gave them Harvey's feather.
Yeah. So during COVID, we were working with a gentleman from Shinnecock, but he's living in New Mexico right now. And we were joined him doing his talking circles. And one of the things we like collaborated with was for Harvey to do an awareness journey. So Harvey's doing teachings, and we've been doing that on Thursdays with them. And it's been an awesome turnout, you know. We're getting ready to take I think a 1-week break. But we've been doing that on Thursday on Zooms. You know, so we had to adapt. We had to shed our skin, right? And adapt to this COVID stuff. And now we're starting to come back to in person for certain things, but this one we would probably keep doing on Zoom. You want to add anything to that?
I don't know. We're already talking about everything as far as the pictures go.
Yeah.
So.
And that's just one of the main things. There's a few of you that know he does this mind map, and it works. I know it does.
That's what I love this only, well, basically because it works. When I'm doing my thinking, it's like anything. I gotta set my intent on paper. Like, say I'm going to get groceries. And so the past 60 years, I tell myself I should have made a list. Even now, I'll get to the grocery store and I say, man, I know I'm missing some. I should have made a list. And now at 62 plus years, I still didn't make a list. I tried though. When I go to Home Depot, I try to make a list. And again, I'm not savvy or used to my phone. So back to the pictures, I could took a lot of pictures. I don't. I could write it in my phone what I need, but I don't. I'm not built that way yet. I'm starting to think about it, but that's the way the mind works. And looking at this, we're going to do an exercise on this. So maybe I shouldn't say that, give you a heads up. But there's a pragmatic side of this, which is say this one here. The emotional is the reaction, the mental is the plan, the physical is the action, the outcomes the spiritual. So when we're doing things in a negative light, where does it come from? Why do I go negative? Why does my thought talk me out of things? Why do I lie about how I'm feeling? Why do I not get off my butt to do certain things that I know is good for me? So all these questions get answered. In the front of medicine wheel, it says, why am I? That's the emotional. Why am I? Why? You know, if anybody's around kids, you see that. Go pick up your toys. Why? Come on, get ready for supper. Why? Go wash your hands. Why? Clean your room. Why? So that infancy stage is that question, why? And I ask that all the time, why? When you say, what was that thing? Where did that come from? Why? Then the plan, the mental is who am I? And then the physical is, where am I going? The spiritual is, when am I going to get there? So all those questions we have, you know, especially working with people in recovery and with domestic violence and abusers. It's like, when is she going to quit calling the cops on me? I said, when you probably quit going over there. You know, you have an order of protection. You're not supposed to communicate any way, shape, or form. Yeah, but no, I said, there ain't no buts. That's the agreement. You proved and you keep proving you're not worthy to go and have a visitation in a proper manner. Well, she ought, see, why are you focusing on her? Why? Why am I? Right? Why are you focusing on her? This is why your thought process is skewed, because you're focusing on somebody else. They're not even focusing on you. So we start to identify those things. And it comes out in the verbiage that we're thinking. And emotion is the hardest for men, because we don't know how to express our emotions. We know anger, we think we know love, and we know sadness. We really know fear. But of course, everybody knows that's the secondary to hurt feelings. But we can't acknowledge that. It's against the rules again. Well, who made those rules? See? So it's investigating all that stuff and finally getting to the opposite. Where am I going with this? I'm going to validate my own inadequacies so I can work on them now. Because if I deny them, I'll always have them. I got to quit denying them and work on them. It's like going through hell. Why do we stop and engage in it? And if you're going through hell, keep going. Get to the other side. If I'm grieving, why do I get stuck in grief? Keep going. Get to the other side. So the same thing with anger and anything else. Don't stop in the middle of it. Acknowledge it, move on. Get to the other side. Then you can look back at it. Say, wow, this is what happened. This is where this comes from. And when we start getting our power back. That's that spirit that Craig talked about earlier. We start acknowledging that, and the spirit starts to acknowledge it. And then we start to heal. Then we feel good. When we start to feel good, I'm an addict. I want more right away. Give me all the teachings right now. I want to be better. That's, again, learned behavior, instant gratification from artificial stimulation. I got it right. They're laughing because I don't always get that one right. And it's just the way it is. It's back to the acknowledging. I got to quit. To me, men are Jedi Knights, man. We block the truth. We block commitment, responsibility, all kinds of things. Instead of just going, okay, all right, yeah, I'm a lawyer. Yeah, okay, I did that, yeah. You know, it would get out of our head so much if we just acknowledge the fact, you know. That's big. So on the other side, I offered a solution. How are we gonna fix this? What can we change? Because it took me a long time to get screwed up like this. I learned this very well from generational trauma, like Trey said again. Man, my grandfather kicked the dog, my father kicked the dog. I learned how to kick the dog. Now I'm teaching my sons how to kick the dog. See, that's a whole family tradition. Well, we gotta break that tradition because that poor dog, just
Not
acknowledgement.
to anybody either.
Yeah, and it's that acknowledgement, poor dog. See, gotta look at that. Okay, so I really goes in. My son right now, he's an ex-police officer, and he went back to school because he wants to help the police in the psychological burnout that they experience here, especially in a small town. Because a lot of times in a small town, you're arresting your own family for different reasons. A lot of them are drunk and disorderly, domestic violence, and things like that. So where do they go? Because of that, just like us as helping, I'm trying not to say society, working as helpers, we have this non-disclosure and confidentiality laws and all this stuff. So where do we really get to go to release some of this things we picked up, other people's trials and tribulations? So where do we go for that? So anyway, he went to school and he's trying to become a guide that they can go to and really utilize that. So now we talk like crazy and he laughs and I laugh too because he's got the college smarts now. But we get to talk on all these subjects that we're going through and realize that in our traditions, it's in there. All these things we talk about with the borderline disorders and the bipolar disorders and the narcissistic disorders and all that, it's all in our history and our teachings. So it's just a matter of acknowledging them. And it goes back, if we would have listened to Mama and Grandpa back in the day, we wouldn't be so screwed up. But modernization said that, no, don't do that, do this. Don't do that, do this. And that comes up with the colonization of saying, kill the Indian, but save the man. So we went through those generations of losing who we were. And how do you fill that void? Many of us are fighting to fill that. Who am I? That's the mental state, the plan. Who am I anyways? I'm a man. Well, I'm drunken, disorder, lying, manipulating, analytical, egotistical human being. Why? Yeah, I'm a good learner. It's like Dawi said in the beginning. I learned from him. I learned how to be a certain way. Well, I don't know why he fixed up the bad traits. So there's a lot to it. There's a depth to it, and we'll look into that whenever that comes up. I can't even remember the dates right off.
July 20th and 22nd.
Okay, there you go.
Good.
Yes.
So the Uplift in the Spirit is one that I get to host. Things are going very well. It started out as like 3 to 5 people, and I believe the most I've had was 10 or 15, one or the other. But it's going really, really good. At first,
Question.
yeah.
Do we gotta stop at 10 up?
That's up to E.
E, do you have a shutdown for us?
We can go all the way to noon today. Sorry to have a limit on it, y'all. I wish we could go all day.
Okay. Noon.
And so I'm good with that. That's where my journey began. That is the guy I was talking about in the middle, from Shinnecock. He's out in New Mexico. You guys know Phil and myself, you know, and that's where my journey started of doing the White Bison training to host Talking Circle. That's just a little bit of my altar. Simple. So there's the men's Talking Circle that Harvey's been hosting for years. That's part of his altar. I believe we talked about this last time. Or was it 2 times ago?
Well, not everybody's on here that was here
Yeah.
back then, and there's no people on here and stuff, but that's, in reality, that is a simple altar, but it's a simple altar for teaching and structure. Say, so we have the 4 directions representative there with the cedar and an eagle feather with a tobacco tie on it. For the east, we got the medicine ball, and that looks like a styrofoam cup cap. My coffee mug.
That, no, that's,
No, it's a sob,
Yeah. but it does look like a coffee cup, the top of it.
Your magic copy.
Traditional.
Extra magical. And in the north, we got the tobacco seeds and tobacco with the rattle for the songs and everything. As we come around, we got the sage bundle, loose sage, another eagle feather. That's backup. And then we come around to the south, we got the sweetgrass, the smudge bowl that's actually on a tripod to keep it up. And that's all representative of the medicines and the directions and all that entails. So looking at that mind map, that's in there. Then when you look at the medicine wheel, that's in there. It's all in there. So as you practice these things and practice and practice and practice, you start to look to the east and you can really encompass what it entails, what those gifts are. And it's way easier after practicing to get there, to get to those spaces. So by the time you even gone in a circle, you can really ground yourself, like Craig was saying about the songs. Even talking about those drums started to alleviate some stress, some outside stuff, and he just thought of them songs and started to calm down. Huh? So we look at those things and those benefits of people with anxiety and asthma and all those things that we have to do those grounding, breathing exercises and stuff. And so there's still things. There's still things I do, and there's still nothing I can do. Because when I get up to talk in front of 200 people, I still get nervous as heck. My knees still get a little wobbly. I still get butterflies. I still almost pee. But it goes away though. But once I get going and I check out the audience to see where we're going with this. Me and Dawi had an opportunity to go speak in front of like 128 women, all in the what is it, like social services, CAS, the
Children Aid Society.
yeah, with the kid, the people that worked with the people, right? So there was a thing going on with them to finally ask what the family needs. Not you're supposed to have this, you're supposed to have this, you're supposed to have this, and that's not important to some of us. What they believe to be important is not important to us. So they finally want to ask. So we went through and did a little presentation and that, and I had a blast there because realizing how much people that live so close to our reserve here doesn't have a clue as to what makes us think, and to make those connections. Like we talk about customs a lot, coming through customs, we don't know. We come to that bridge and there's a big lineup, we start to get upset. Man, how come there? And for me to get to them to understand that, as I said, well, the best I can think of maybe is Walmart. When you're in Walmart and there's 8 people at that cash register and they won't open another cash register, and you get upset. You're like, man, I'm in a hurry. Look at this. How come they don't, you know? I said, that kind of gives you an idea of how we feel in line at the customs. I said, or maybe stuck behind a bus, or maybe at the bank. You know, it always seems like I'm next, and that teller puts his sign up there. On break, next teller. And I'm thinking, oh, I almost made it, you know? You know, so it makes me feel some sort of way, and I see where that comes from. So all this smudging, it starts your intent of your day every morning to acknowledge all that stuff and realize that how minute I am in this big scheme of things, but how big I am in my family dynamics, my community dynamics. But in the scheme of the world, I got to be humble enough to understand that it's just to be.
This was a day, myself and Prey were at, Seven River. It was the wellness day they had going on. And I don't know why this picture just cracked me up.
That was, I think, one of their first excursions in public.
That was the first ones where we were unsupervised.
And Salmon is a high school. Salmon is a high school here. And it's probably 60% native students in it. So they try to get more native stuff going on there and stuff. So instead of looking at it from the colonized side of it, where everything is geared towards, I guess, dominant society, ethics and politics and everything else. So now that the students, the native students are starting to get the majority, they want to bring in more things from our teachings and stuff. So it makes it interesting. That picture comes from somewhere.
Colorado.
Which Colorado?
When me and Amy went there, were the
Where I screamed on the flight. That the one?
Yeah.
Oh, that was big.
I
That
don't
was
quite
big.
remember what we were.
No, there was over 400 agencies there and representation there. And a lot of them were like the FBI and ICE, and different, trying to think, Homeland Security, a bunch of stuff like that. And they were gathering the information, and again, on the murder of missing Indigenous women and a lot of other things that were going on and how they were going to collaborate and all this. And started to get these numbers and work on collaborating with all this information, because different agencies had different information. They didn't put it together and pull it together to really get real numbers and stuff. So that was one of the ones. And Amy made us fly. And going down, we all sat together, so it wasn't too bad. I mean, I figured if Prey didn't cry, I wasn't gonna cry.
That's right.
And I couldn't cry in front of Amy, but that men can't cry in front of women. I had to pull that rule back out. And it wasn't too bad. But when we were there, I'm sitting there towards the end and thinking, okay, we're gonna do this and do this, spend the night, then leave in the morning. So then Amy comes back and says, we're leaving afternoon. Wait, what? Yeah, we're leaving afternoon. I'm like, holy, I didn't even get time to talk myself down or up or whatever I gotta do. And so when we get to the tin to get our tickets, I'm looking at Prey's ticket and Amy's ticket, and they're not the same numbers. And I'm like, these don't look right. I said, these numbers don't look. She goes, yeah, I couldn't get us all together. We had to spread us out. I mean, like, okay, so I'm actually gonna be like flying alone. And now the nerves start. Then she says, plus we're flying to Newark, New Jersey, instead of to Burlington. We're going to Newark and then to Burlington. So we're gonna be an extra hour and a half in the air. So I'm like, so that means an extra hour and a half with the possibility of crashing and dying? I don't know if I like this. I tried to pick up conversations on the people inside of me, and the one guy says, yeah, I know you're scared of flying, but you won't talk to me. Oh, it's all.
That would have almost been a good excuse.
Yeah.
Waiter.
Yeah, no waitress come by with those little shot glasses, so.
Gotta go.
Gotta go.
Was this Cayuga?
Yep.
So we went to Cayuga for the youth and elders gathering of all nations. And we decided to meet at the Cayuga Nation. It's west of Syracuse. It's one of the original homelands of the Haudenosaunee, the Cayuga people. And it's really beautiful there. And the Cayuga people are incorporating their traditions, their ceremonies, upbringing, how to upbring a child in a healthy, positive way. Planting our traditional foods and like putting our love and our compassion, and the language, songs, everything we have, we put it into our food, we put it into our land, so that because we're so appreciative that it grows and it's our sustenance. We did the youth and elder gathering. We tried to hit each nation of the Confederacy. And flip it again, Delby. This one, I believe, was at SNI. Me and Harvey did the wampum teachings, wampum belt teachings with the youth. Go ahead, Delby. I think there's one of our co-workers right there, Tracy.
Newest.
Newest co-worker, newest member of our family. She was just born a couple weeks ago. She works at Seven Dancers now in a satellite office out west, Tuscarora Nation. Very pleased that we have people out there. Phil's out there, so we can reach more people with them out there. Go ahead, Doug. That was the social we did in the SNI gym. SNI Rec Hall Gymnasium. There's Parker. Hey, put that back, Gabby. I heard at that social, Parker was the top round dancer of the bunch. He got that. He won. Go ahead, Gabby.
Weren't we did sweat that day, huh? I wasn't there for the social. No, I had golf.
This is just some teachings at the St. Regis Mohawk School. We got invited to go down there and just share creation story. Usually whatever's going on in the community, we'll touch on that, and we'll try and make a connection between what's going on in the community, like what we're suffering with. How can we heal from that, or how can we get better, or how can we move forward? We tie it in with the teachings, because everything in life is a teaching for. And I love it that my son's with me and my baby's there, and like the little ones they're all looking at me like they want to learn something. I think I see that. But when I'm sitting there looking at them, so some of them are like kind of sleepy, and then there's one kid in SNI school. He chases me in my dreams. He's a little boy. He's got lots of energy, man. He doesn't stop asking questions.
Energizer just keeps going and going. This one, I actually got to do some bullying teachings with them, and I pulled out the mind map, if you can see it on the whiteboard. There was the mind mapping that I learned from White Bison. I don't even know how to talk about this one. It explains it all right there. Coming together. And this is part of getting that heart together before we went up with the drone. But this is my favorite one because I get to cook for everybody. I'm on the grill. If you see the guys back here, they're doing some more singing and stuff.
Go back to that heart picture in there.
Back to the heart.
When I seen that, and teachings came to mind of that. Like when we're suffering as human beings, we see things through our human eyes, and sometimes like we're told to look at ourselves through the eyes of an animal, like such as a bird. Look
The
at
raven.
a raven. Oh, our
the raven.
If you ask him, if you give him that tobacco, he might do it. Very sacred though. when you look at that, like the bird's eye view, you know, all of a sudden what I'm worried about or what I'm stressing over or, you know, like getting anxiety over doesn't seem that important or doesn't seem that huge when looking at it through the eyes of nature. You know? I sometimes do that at my house. I'll be suffering and I'll be going crazy in my mind. And I'll look at the birds and they're looking at me and I'll think they must be laughing at me because I have a roof over my head. I have beautiful, clean water. We are eating, we are fed, and we have a homeland.
He said, wrap it up.
What can I do? What else can I have that I need?
He said,
No.
take that mic away.
Hey, E, what are you doing? Not you too, E. Come on.
So if we're up on wrapping it up now, I want to go to this one because this is something me and Prey got to do at the Messina Junior High. When COVID hit, we had rattles made for them and I was at the office. But in that classroom picture, you know, we got to do that for 2 years now. This year, it was all on Zoom, kind of not fun, but they still showed up. An event we did at the Mohawk School, it was their Fall Fest. This is a thing Prey just did, tobacco ties and seeds. When did you do this? Last week?
Last week,
Yeah.
to honor the children that were found in the mass graves, and to honor all the young ones that didn't come home, and also to honor the ones that did come.
This is an event we just did Friday at the Boys and Girls Club. It was a carnival, their end of the year carnival, and we did a dartboard, and it was a really good event. This was for the Pride Month last year. We did a float. We're doing it again this year. And this one right here was myself, Prey, Janelle going to Ottawa, and we did some pretty good teachings there. You know, even for myself going to that one, I had to.
You taught them well, but wrap it up. Doesn't really
No,
mean that.
no, listen.
No, I got to get into this one. This is where, in my journey, it's taught me the honor, the respect, and the loyalty to the
You're a
women.
monster.
And these guys are laughing at me, and they won't be quiet.
That was
What's
at
the music in the background starting to play? Lights are coming on. Let it go.
Ottawa that we were at.
I just did.
I don't think you said prison.
I did.
You said Ottawa.
Said Ottawa prison.
Oh, okay.
See the monster you created?
Yeah, he won't listen to me.
But I just want to say now, you know, for you guys sitting around and letting us show you that, you know, we are doing the work. There is people that are still by our sides, joining us for everything, talking circles. If we could go back to some more in-person stuff of the singing and drumming, they'd be here. You know, just right now, not a lot of people can be here, and that's all I have for that. And I just want to say now.
Oh, everybody.
No,
Thanks so much, y'all. I really can't wait to have just as much time as a day can fit with everybody and not to have bookends on it. Thanks so much for your great presentation, y'all. We appreciate y'all from being here. Thanks so much. And we'll see you again soon. Our next one will be on July 20th. Thanks so much. Take care. Have a good one, y'all.
Yeah. Boy. That boy, E. All right, the mic's still on?
Yeah.
Have a great one, y'all. Bye.